The screen flickered to life in the dimly lit living room of Ethan Carter and his wife, Claire. The news anchor's voice was calm but distant, as if reporting on something mundane like weather updates or stock prices. But what followed was anything but ordinary. Across billions of households on Earth and countless other planets under the Galactic Empire's control, a chilling announcement echoed. The Empire had eliminated 70,000 humans from a remote colony, all in a live broadcast. Ethan leaned forward on the couch, his coffee mug forgotten in his hand. His jaw tightened as he watched grainy footage of ships descending onto the colony's surface. There were no screams, no cries for help, just silence. The camera panned over empty streets and abandoned homes, a ghost town where life had once thrived. The Empire called it elimination, but Ethan knew better. This wasn't justice, it was extermination. A message sent loud and clear to anyone who dared defy them. Claire sat beside him, her fingers gripping the edge of her sweater. Her eyes darted between the screen and Ethan's face, searching for reassurance that didn't exist. Why would they do this? She whispered, more to herself than to him. Ethan didn't answer right away. Questions he couldn't begin to untangle. Why target such a small, insignificant colony? What had those people done to deserve this? And most importantly, why broadcast it to the entire galaxy? It felt less like punishment and more like intimidation. The Empire wanted everyone watching, not just to see destruction, but to feel fear. As the broadcast ended, the room fell silent except for the faint hum of the television. Ethan placed his mug on the table, his hands trembling slightly. He tried to convince himself that this was none of their business. Earth was far removed from the Empire's core territories. Humanity had always been treated as a minor footnote in the grand story of galactic history. Surely they wouldn't come here next, right? But deep down, Ethan knew better. Fear wasn't confined by borders or light years. Once planted, it spread like wildfire. Already, social media feeds were flooded with reactions ranging from outrage to despair. Some called for retaliation, while others urged caution, warning that any act of defiance would only invite further violence. Either way, the world was talking, and that meant change was coming, whether they liked it or not. It was then that Ethan's phone buzzed on the coffee table. He glanced at it, expecting another notification about the broadcast. Instead, he saw a single text message from an unknown number. The words were brief but impossible to ignore. "If you want to survive, meet me tonight. Bring nothing." His heart skipped a beat. Who could have sent this? Was it a prank, or worse, a trap? He looked at Claire, debating whether to tell her. She noticed his hesitation immediately. "What is it?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. He hesitated before handing her the phone. As she read the message, her expression shifted from confusion to alarm. "Do you think it's real?" "I don't know," Ethan admitted. "But I can't just ignore it." They spent the next hour arguing back and forth. Claire insisted it was too dangerous, that they should stay out of whatever trouble this might lead to. Ethan, however, couldn't shake the feeling that the message was connected to the broadcast somehow. So maybe it was paranoia, or maybe it was instinct. But either way, decided to go. That night, Ethan drove through the quiet streets of their suburban neighborhood until he reached an old industrial area on the outskirts of town. The warehouse loomed ahead, its windows dark and broken, its walls covered in graffiti. He parked a safe distance away and approached cautiously, scanning the shadows for signs of movement. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the only light came from a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. Standing beneath it was a woman in her mid-30s with sharp features and piercing green eyes. She wore a leather jacket over a plain black shirt, and her posture radiated confidence despite the grim surroundings. "You're late," she said, without turning around. Her voice was steady, almost amused. "And you're vague," Ethan replied, crossing his arms. "Who are you, and why did you bring me here?" The woman finally faced him, studying him with an intensity that made him uneasy. "Lopez," she said after a pause. "And I brought you here because you're one of the few people on this planet who might actually be able to make a difference." Ethan frowned. "Make a difference? Against who? The Empire? Are you serious?" Maya smirked, deadly serious. You've seen what they're capable of. Do you really think they'll stop with one colony? They're testing us, Ethan, seeing how much we can take before we break. And if we don't fight back now, they'll keep pushing until there's nothing left. Ethan opened his mouth to argue, but Maya cut him off. I know who you are. Engineer working on AI systems? Your work isn't just about making machines smarter, it's about solving problems. Finding loopholes, exploiting weaknesses. That's exactly what we need. We, Ethan repeated, his skepticism growing. Who's we? The shadow, Maya said simply. At his blank look, she elaborated. Resistance group. Small, scattered, but determined. We've been preparing for something like this for years. Now, we need someone like you to step up. Ethan shook his head. Even if I believed you, which I don't, what makes you think I'd risk everything for some half-baked rebellion? Maya's expression hardened. Because sitting on the sidelines won't save your family, Ethan. It won't save anyone. If you walk away now, fine. But when the Empire comes knocking on Earth's door, don't expect anyone to protect you. Her words hit home harder than Ethan cared to admit. He thought about Claire, about the fear in her eyes earlier that evening, about the thousands of families across the globe who had probably felt the same way. Could he really stand by and do nothing? Before he could respond, Maya pulled out a tablet and tapped a few commands. Images appeared on the screen: diagrams, schematics, and surveillance footage of military installations. This is what we're up against, she said. But it's not just weapons and ships. Oh, it's arrogance, overconfidence. They think we're weak, primitive. Prove them wrong. For a long moment, Ethan stared at the screen, weighing his options. He had always considered himself an ordinary man, content to live a quiet life, tinkering with gadgets and spending time with his wife. But now, standing in this dingy warehouse, he realized that choice might no longer be his to make. All right, he said finally, meeting Maya's gaze. Tell me what I need to do. Maya smiled faintly, as if she'd expected nothing less. Good. First things first, we need to find the ninjas. The what? Ethan blinked, certain he'd misheard her. The ninjas, Maya repeated. Legends say they were warriors who mastered stealth, strategy, and precision. Their skills. Maybe ancient, but they're exactly what we need to take down the Empire. And guess what? They're still out there. Yeah. Ethan wasn't sure whether to laugh or run. Ninjas, really? But as crazy as it sounded, part of him wanted to believe it. As if there was even a sliver of truth to Maya's words, then maybe they stood a chance. As they left the warehouse together, Ethan couldn't help but glance up at the stars. The first time, they didn't seem so distant anymore. The next morning, Ethan woke up with a strange mix of excitement and dread. He hadn't told Claire where he was going or what he had agreed to do. All he said was that he needed some time to think. But the truth was, he couldn't stop thinking. About Maya's words, ninjas, legends, resistance, it all sounded like something out of a movie. But deep down, Ethan knew it wasn't fiction. The Empire's broadcast had been real enough. If there was even a small chance that Earth could fight back, he couldn't ignore it. Maya met him at a small cafe in the city. She arrived early, sitting at a corner table with a cup of coffee and a tablet in front of her. When Ethan slid into the seat across from her, she didn't waste time with pleasantries. You look like you didn't sleep, she said, raising an eyebrow. Not really, Ethan admitted. I've been trying to wrap my head around everything you told me last night. Maya nodded. It's a lot to take in, but trust me, once you see what we're dealing with and who we're working with, you'll understand why this is our only shot. Ethan leaned forward. So tell me more about these ninjas. Maya tapped the screen of her tablet, pulling up a series of old documents and sketches. Some were faded maps, others looked like ancient scrolls. Ninjas weren't just warriors, she explained. They were strategists, spies, and survivalists rolled into one. They didn't rely on brute force, they used their minds. Stealth, precision, adaptability. That's how they survived against much stronger enemies. But that was centuries ago, Ethan interrupted. How can people like that exist today? Wouldn't someone have found them by now? They've been hiding, Maya said simply. After firearms became the dominant weapon, ninja clans retreated into remote areas, mountains, forests, villages so small they don't even appear on modern maps. They stayed out of sight, passing down their skills to new generations. Most people thought they were myths. Turns out they were just waiting for what? Ethan asked. For a reason to come back, Maya replied. And now they have one. Ethan rubbed his temples, still struggling to process everything. Okay, let's say I believe you. How do we find them? We already have, Maya said. With a faint smile, she pulled up another set of photos of men and women training in secluded camps. Some practiced hand-to-hand combat, while others worked on scaling walls or blending into shadows. There are remnants of clans scattered across Asia. We've made contact with a few of them. One in particular has agreed to help us. Help us how? Ethan pressed. By teaching us their ways, Maya said. We don't need an army. Of ninjas, we need their knowledge, their tactics. If we can combine that with your tech expertise, we might stand a chance against the Empire. Ethan hesitated. And what happens if they refuse? Or worse, if they turn on us? They won't, Maya assured him.
Nice.
These clans may be secretive, but they're not heartless. They know what's at stake. Besides, they've been preparing for something like this for generations. This is their moment. Ethan sighed. As skeptical as he was, he couldn't deny the logic in Maya's plan. The Empire's strength lay in its overwhelming firepower and advanced technology. But if the Shadow could learn to move unseen, strike quickly, and exploit weaknesses, they might level the playing field. All right, Ethan said finally. What's the next step? Maya stood, signaling that their meeting was over. We traveled to Japan. There's a man there named Hiroshi. Tanaka, he leads one of the oldest surviving clans. If anyone can teach us what we need to know, it's him. 2 days later, Ethan found himself on a plane bound for Tokyo. Maya accompanied him, explaining along the way that secrecy was key. They couldn't risk drawing attention from either local authorities or imperial spies. Once they landed, they rented a car and drove several hours into the countryside. Leaving behind the bustling city for quiet mountain roads eventually, they reached a small village nestled deep within a forest. It looked untouched by time, with wooden houses and narrow dirt paths winding between them. Maya parked the car outside the village and gestured for Ethan to follow her on foot as they walked. Ethan noticed subtle signs that something unusual was happening here. A group of children practicing martial arts in a clearing, an elderly woman sharpening a blade with meticulous care. Everyone seemed focused, disciplined. It was clear this wasn't an ordinary place. Finally, they arrived at a large house surrounded by bamboo trees. Inside, they were greeted by a tall man with graying hair and sharp, calculating eyes. This was Hiroshi Tanaka. You must be Ethan, Hiroshi said, his voice calm but firm. He extended a hand, which Ethan shook nervously. Maya has told me much about you. All good things, I hope, Ethan joked weakly. Hiroshi gave a faint smile. Let's just say I'm curious to see what you bring to the table. Over the next few hours, Hiroshi explained the history of his clan. They had once served feudal lords, using their skills to gather intelligence and protect their allies. But as times changed, they adapted, retreating into obscurity rather than fading away entirely. Now, with the Empire threatening humanity's survival, Hiroshi believed it was time to re-emerge. We cannot defeat the Empire through sheer force, Hiroshi said. But we can outthink them, outmaneuver them. That is where you come in. Ethan nodded slowly. I get that. But I'm not exactly a fighter. I build machines, not strategies. Yet, you've built machines that solve problems. Hiroshi countered. That is a form of strategy. You see patterns where others see chaos. That is why you are valuable. Ethan felt a flicker of pride at Hiroshi's words, though he still doubted whether he belonged here. These people had spent lifetimes honing their craft. What could he possibly contribute? For the next week, Ethan immersed himself in the clan's world. He watched his students train tirelessly, learning techniques that seemed almost magical. In their precision, one exercise involved navigating a pitch-black room filled with obstacles without making a sound. Another required memorizing complex sequences of movements in seconds. To Ethan, it felt like stepping into another era. But it wasn't all physical training. Hiroshi emphasized the importance of mental discipline as well. A true ninja controls not only his body but also his mind, he told Ethan during one lesson. Fear clouds judgment. Anger leads to mistakes. Clarity is your greatest weapon. Ethan struggled at first, unused to such intense focus. But gradually he began to see improvements not just in his coordination but in his ability to think critically under pressure. Hiroshi pushed him hard, never letting him settle for mediocrity. By the end of the week, Ethan realized he was starting to change not into a ninja, perhaps, but into someone capable of contributing to their cause. Meanwhile, Maya worked on organizing support from other clans. Through Hiroshi's connections, she reached out to leaders in China and Korea, sharing the Empire's atrocities and urging them to join the resistance. Slowly but surely, alliances began to form. People who had spent decades in isolation were now coming together for a common purpose. One evening, as Ethan sat by a fire with Hiroshi and Maya, he voiced a question that had been weighing on his mind. Do you really think we can win? I mean, the Empire has ships, weapons, armies. We're just people. Hiroshi stared into the flames for a long moment before answering. Victory is not about numbers or strength. It is about will. Empire believes itself invincible because no one has challenged them. But fear is a fragile thing. Once it cracks, it shatters completely. Maya nodded in agreement. And when that happens, they'll realize they underestimated us. Big mistake. Wade looked at both of them, feeling a spark of determination ignite within him. Maybe they were right. Maybe humanity's greatest strength wasn't its technology or resources, but its resilience, its refusal to give up. As the fire crackled softly, Ethan made a silent promise to himself. Whatever it took, however long it lasted, he would do everything in his power to ensure Earth's fought back, because if the Empire thought humanity would bow to their cruelty, they were wrong. Weeks turned into months as Ethan and Claire became deeply involved with the Shadow. What started as a reluctant agreement to meet Maya had transformed into a full commitment to the resistance. Ethan spent most of his time in Japan, learning from Hiroshi and the ninja clan, while Claire remained on Earth, helping to organize and recruit new members for their growing movement. Though separated by distance, they stayed connected through encrypted messages and brief video calls. Sharing updates and encouragement, Ethan's days were filled with rigorous training. At first, he struggled to keep up with the physical demands of the ninja's routines, climbing walls, moving silently across rooftops, and disarming opponents required skills he didn't think he'd ever master. But Hiroshi was patient, teaching him not just how to move, but how to think like a ninja. Strength is useless without purpose, Hiroshi often said. Every action must serve a goal. Every step must bring you closer to victory. Slowly, Ethan began to adapt. He learned to control his breathing, to quiet his mind, and to anticipate his opponent's movements. It wasn't easy. His muscles ached, and his confidence wavered, but he refused to give up. For every mistake he made, Hiroshi reminded him that failure was part of the process. A true ninja learns from error, Hiroshi told him one evening after a particularly grueling session. Perfection is not the goal. Adaptability is. While Ethan trained, Claire worked tirelessly to build a network of supporters back home. Using her background in logistics and project management, she coordinated efforts across continents, connecting people who wanted to help but didn't know where to start. Some joined because they believed in the cause, others because they had lost loved ones to the Empire's cruelty. Together, they formed a diverse coalition united by a single purpose. Protecting Earth. One of Claire's key contributions was creating covert communication systems. With Ethan's guidance, she developed devices disguised as everyday objects: watches, pens, even jewelry that could transmit encrypted messages without detection. These tools allowed members of the Shadow to stay in touch without alerting Imperial spies. She also set up hidden command centers in abandoned buildings, equipping them with surveillance equipment and secure servers. Despite their progress, tensions ran high. The Empire hadn't forgotten about Earth. Reports of increased patrols near Earth's orbit spread fear among the population. People whispered about invasion plans and mass deportations. Some governments tried to negotiate peace, hoping to avoid conflict, but the Empire showed no interest in compromise. Their message was clear: submit or face annihilation. Amidst this uncertainty, Maya returned to Japan with news that changed everything. She had secured permission from several ninja clans to share their knowledge with the Shadow. In exchange, they asked only one thing: that humanity prove itself worthy of their trust. They've agreed to send instructors to our bases around the world, Maya announced during a meeting with Ethan, Hiroshi, and other leaders. Doubt. We need to act fast. The Empire won't wait forever. Hiroshi nodded solemnly. Then it is time for us to take the fight to them. With renewed determination, the Shadow launched its next phase, awakening warriors. Recruits from all walks of life arrived at secret training camps hidden in forests, deserts, and mountains. Farmers, artists, teachers, and engineers stood side by side, learning the art of stealth and strategy. Among them was Alex Rivera, a former military pilot whose sharp instincts and quick reflexes made him an ideal candidate for leading missions. Then there was Lily Chen, a young woman with a fierce determination to avenge her brother, who had been killed in the Empire's attack on the colony. Training wasn't limited to combat skills. Hiroshi emphasized the importance of mental discipline, teaching recruits how to remain calm under pressure and make split-second decisions. Fear will paralyze you, he warned during one session. Control it, or it will control you.
Nice.
Weeks passed, the recruits grew stronger, faster, and smarter. They practiced infiltration exercises, sabotage drills, and reconnaissance missions. Each person brought something unique to the table, whether it was technical expertise, creative problem-solving, or sheer resilience. Together, they formed a cohesive unit bound by shared goals and mutual respect. Back in Japan, Ethan continued refining his abilities. He excelled at designing gadgets that combine modern technology with traditional ninja techniques. One of his inventions was a grappling hook powered by compact motors, allowing users to scale tall structures quickly and quietly. Another was a smoke bomb laced with electronic disruptors, capable of disabling cameras and sensors temporarily. Hiroshi approved of Ethan's innovations, calling them a bridge between past and future. Meanwhile, Claire played a crucial role in rallying public support. Through carefully crafted propaganda campaigns, she highlighted the Empire's atrocities and encouraged ordinary citizens to resist. Videos showing the destruction of the colony aired alongside testimonials from survivors, igniting outrage and solidarity. Graffiti-bearing slogans like "Earth Fights Back" appeared overnight on city walls. Spreading defiance like wildfire, the Empire responded with brutal crackdowns, arresting suspected rebels and imposing curfews. But instead of silencing dissent, these actions only fueled anger. Protesters took to the streets, chanting slogans and waving homemade flags. Even those who had initially opposed violence began to see the necessity of fighting back in the midst of this chaos. Ethan received a call from Claire. Voice trembled with urgency. "They're coming," she said. "The Empire's sending ships toward Earth. We don't have much time." Ethan relayed the information to Hiroshi and Maya, who immediately convened an emergency meeting. After hours of discussion, they devised a bold plan: to launch a preemptive strike against the Empire's supply depots orbiting Earth. If successful, the operation would cripple their ability to launch a full-scale invasion while buying humanity. "Time to prepare. This isn't just about survival anymore," Maya said during the briefing. "It's about sending a message. Let them know that Earth won't go down without a fight." Alex volunteered to lead the mission, piloting a cloaked shuttle designed by Ethan. His team included Lily and 3 other recruits, each chosen for their specific skills. Their objective was simple yet dangerous: infiltrate the depot, steal classified data, and plant explosives to disable critical systems. On the eve of the mission, Ethan approached Alex and his team. "You've trained hard for this," he said. "Trust your instincts, and remember what Hiroshi taught you. Precision over power, stealth over force." Lily stepped forward, her eyes blazing with resolve. "We won't let you down," she promised. As the team boarded the shuttle, Hiroshi addressed the rest of the group. "Tonight, we write a new chapter in history," he declared. "Not as victims, but as warriors. Show the Empire that humanity is not afraid. The shuttle launched into the night sky, disappearing into the stars. Below, Ethan watched anxiously, knowing that the fate of Earth rested on the shoulders of a handful of brave individuals. For the first time since the Empire's broadcast, he felt a glimmer of hope, not because victory was guaranteed, but because humanity had finally found its voice, and once awakened, it could never be silenced again. The shuttle carrying Alex Rivera, Lily Chen, and their team slipped silently through the darkness of space. Cloaked by Ethan's advanced technology, it was invisible to the Empire's sensors. Inside, the atmosphere was tense but focused. Each member of the team knew the stakes. Failure meant not just their deaths, but potentially the end of humanity's resistance. Yet none of them hesitated. They had trained for this moment, and now it was time to act. Alex piloted the shuttle. With steady hands, his eyes glued to the navigation screen, a supply depot loomed ahead, a massive structure floating in orbit like a mechanical beast. It was heavily guarded, with patrol drones circling its perimeter and automated turrets, scanning for intruders. But thanks to Maya's intelligence and Ethan's gadgets, the team had a plan. "Remember," Alex said as they approached, "we get in, grab the data, plant the charges, and get out. No heroics." The others nodded, checking their equipment. One last time, Lily adjusted the strap on her harness, her fingers brushing against the small blade tucked into her belt. She had volunteered for this mission because she wanted revenge for her brother, for the colony, for everyone who had suffered under the Empire's cruelty. But as she stared at the looming depot, she reminded herself of Hiroshi's teachings. Revenge wasn't enough. Precision mattered more. When they were close enough, Alex activated the grappling hooks Ethan had designed. The shuttle latched onto the depot's outer hull, and the team disembarked. Moving carefully, they climbed across the cold metal surface, avoiding detection from the drones above. Every step required focus. One misstep could trigger an alarm. Once they reached an access hatch, Lily pulled out a device Ethan had called a lock whisperer. It was a compact tool capable of bypassing even the most advanced security systems. She attached it to the hatch and waited as lights blinked on its surface. A soft click signaled success, and the hatch slid open. Inside, the depot was eerily quiet. Rows of crates filled with supplies stretched endlessly in every direction. The air smelled faintly of oil and metal. The team split into pairs, each heading toward their assigned tasks. Alex and Lily moved deeper into the facility, searching for the central server room where they could download classified data about the Empire's fleet movements. As they navigated the narrow corridors, Lily kept watch while Alex hacked into terminals along the way. He uploaded viruses designed to scramble communications and disrupt operations temporarily. "This should buy us some time," he whispered, typing furiously. Meanwhile, the other half of the team worked on planting explosives near the depot's engines and communication relays. These charges weren't meant to destroy the entire station, just cripple it enough to render it useless. Timing was critical. The detonation needed to happen after the team escaped, but before reinforcements arrived. Back in the command center, on Earth, Claire monitored everything from afar. Screens displayed live feeds from cameras hidden inside the depot, showing the team's progress. Her heart raced as she watched Lily and Alex enter the server room. So far so good, but she knew the hardest part was yet to come. Inside the server room, Alex connected a portable drive to the main terminal. Files began downloading rapidly, filling the tiny screen with lines of code. Lily stood guard, her eyes darting between the doorway and the shadows beyond. She didn't trust the silence, it felt too perfect. Suddenly, a low hum echoed through the room. Lily froze, her hand instinctively reaching for her blade. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Alex glanced up briefly. "Probably just the system recalibrating. Keep your cool." But then the lights flickered, and alarms blared throughout the depot. Red strobes bathed the walls in flashes of crimson light. Someone or something had detected them. Move. The drive free. The download wasn't complete, but they couldn't afford to wait any longer. Lily led the way out of the server room, moving faster than ever before. Behind them, heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor, Guards armed with rifles appeared around a corner, shouting orders in a language none of the team understood. Laser fire zipped past their heads, forcing them to duck behind crates for cover. "We're pinned," Lily yelled over the chaos. "What's the plan?" Alex thought quickly. "We need to split up. You go back to the rendezvous point and warn. The others? I'll hold them off." "No way," Lily snapped. "You're not sacrificing yourself." "It's not a sacrifice, it's strategy," Alex shot back. "If all of us stay here, we're dead. Now go." Reluctantly, Lily obeyed, slipping away while Alex fired short bursts from his weapon to distract the guards. His aim was precise, targeting their weapons rather than their bodies. He didn't want to kill unless absolutely necessary. Even in the heat of battle, Hiroshi's lessons stayed with him. Elsewhere in the depot, the rest of the team struggled to finish planting the explosives. One member, a wiry young man named Ryan, tripped an alarm while attaching a charge to a fuel line. Before he could react, a drone swooped down and fired, knocking him to the ground. His partner, a woman named Maria, dragged him to safety, but the injury slowed them both down. By the time Lily reached them, sweat poured down her face, and her chest heaved with exertion. "We have to move now," she urged. "They know we're here." Maria nodded grimly, helping Ryan limp toward the exit. Lily covered their retreat, taking down 2 drones with throwing knives improvised from Ethan's tools. As much as she hated leaving Alex behind, she trusted him to handle himself. Outside, the shuttle waited where they'd left it. Maria and Ryan climbed aboard first, followed by Lily moments later. Alex arrived last, sprinting full speed with guards hot on his heels. He leaped into the shuttle just as the first explosion rocked the depot. Fire erupted from the engine compartment, sending shockwaves rippling through the structure. "Go," Alex shouted. The shuttle detached from the depot and soared into space, narrowly avoiding debris as the explosion spread. From a safe distance, the team watched the once mighty station break apart, its remnants drifting aimlessly in orbit. Exhaustion washed over them, but relief soon followed. Against all odds, they had succeeded. Back on Earth, Claire exhaled sharply when confirmation of the team's escape came through. Tears welled in her eyes, not just from relief, but from pride. Humanity had struck its first real blow against. The Empire news of the attack spread quickly. Social media lit up with reports of the depot's destruction, though no one claimed responsibility officially. Speculation ran wild. Was it a rebel faction, an alien rival, or something else entirely? Whatever the truth, one thing was clear: the Empire's invincibility had been shattered. In Japan, Ethan received word of the mission's success. He allowed himself a rare smile, knowing that his inventions had played a key role. Hiroshi joined him outside, gazing up at the stars. "A single spark can ignite a firestorm," he said quietly. "Tonight, Earth has shown the Empire that it is not afraid." Ethan nodded, feeling a mix of hope and determination. This victory was only the beginning. The Empire wouldn't take such defiance lightly. They would retaliate, and hard. But for now, humanity had proven it could fight back. And that knowledge alone was worth celebrating. As dawn broke over the horizon, casting golden light across the land, Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would be long and perilous, but together they would face whatever came. Next, for the first time in years, the future didn't seem so bleak, and somewhere deep within the Empire's ranks, leaders watched the footage of their crippled depot with mounting anger. Earth had made its move, and now the Empire prepared to strike back with devastating force. The Empire's response was swift and brutal. Within hours of the depot's destruction, massive dreadnoughts descended into Earth's atmosphere, their sleek hulls glinting ominously in the sunlight. These ships were larger than anything humanity had ever seen, bristling with weapons and emitting a low hum that seemed to vibrate through the very ground beneath people's feet. Broadcasts filled the airwaves, demanding unconditional surrender. The message was clear: resistance would not be tolerated. Cities across the globe erupted into chaos as panic spread like wildfire. People fled their homes, seeking refuge in underground shelters or remote areas far from urban centers. Governments scrambled to negotiate peace, but the Empire showed no interest in compromise. Their ultimatum was simple: submit or face annihilation. Ethan stood on a hill overlooking his hometown, watching as one of the dreadnoughts hovered menacingly above the skyline. Its shadow stretched across rooftops, blotting out the sun. He felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't just intimidation, it was domination. The Empire wanted everyone to see its power up close, to feel helpless before it. Ethan refused. To give in to despair, they had struck the first blow. Now they had to prepare for what came next. Back at the hidden command center, Claire worked tirelessly to coordinate defenses. Using the communication networks she had built, she rallied members of the Shadow, urging them to stay calm and focused. "They think we're weak," she said during a video call with leaders from around the world. "Let's prove them wrong," Roshi agreed, emphasizing the importance of strategy over brute force. "We cannot win by fighting head-on," he explained. "Our strength lies in stealth, deception, and precision. We must make them doubt themselves and their ability to control us." With time running out, the Shadow devised a daring plan. Instead of confronting the dreadnoughts directly, they would lure the Empire into a trap. Using holographic projections and decoy signals, they created the illusion of a large-scale assault on the main ship. In reality, the primary objective was to disable its engines and cut off its communication relays. Leaving it vulnerable and isolated, Ethan played a crucial role in this operation. Working alongside Maya, he designed devices capable of generating realistic holograms and mimicking Imperial frequencies. These tools allowed the Shadow to project fake troop movements and simulate attacks, drawing the Empire's attention away from their true target. Meanwhile, ninja teams trained extensively for the mission, practicing infiltration techniques and sabotage drills. On the eve of the operation, Hiroshi gathered the group for a final briefing. Standing before rows of determined faces, he reminded them of why they were fighting, not just for survival, but for freedom. "Tonight, we show the Empire that humanity will never bow to tyranny," he declared. "Be smart, be brave, and remember, every action counts." As darkness fell, Ethan joined the team assigned to infiltrate the dreadnought. Alongside Alex, Lily, and several others, he boarded a cloaked shuttle designed to avoid detection. The ride was tense, each person lost in their thoughts. Ethan gripped a small device in his hand, a prototype weapon combining traditional ninja tactics with modern technology. It could emit bursts of electromagnetic pulses, disabling equipment without harming humans. He hoped it would work as intended. When they reached the dreadnought, the team disembarked silently, attaching grappling hooks to its outer hull. Moving quickly, they climbed toward an access hatch, avoiding patrol drones and automated turrets. Once inside, they split into smaller groups, each tasked with specific objectives. Ethan accompanied Lily, whose sharp instincts made her an invaluable partner. Together, they navigated narrow corridors, dodging patrols and planting charges along critical systems. Meanwhile, Alex led another team deeper into the ship, heading straight for the engine room. His goal was to plant explosives powerful enough to cripple the dreadnought's propulsion system. "Stay sharp," he whispered. They approached their destination. One wrong move, and we're done. Back on Earth, Claire monitored everything from the command center. Screens displayed live feeds from cameras carried by the infiltrators, showing their progress in real time. Her heart raced as she watched Ethan and Lily disarm traps and disable security systems. She knew how dangerous this mission was, but she trusted them to succeed. Inside the dreadnought, tensions ran high. Alarms blared intermittently, forcing the team to move faster than planned. At one point, Lily noticed a group of guards approaching their position. Without hesitation, she signaled Ethan to follow her into a nearby ventilation shaft. They crawled silently, listening as the guards passed below them. When the coast was clear, they emerged and continued their mission. In the engine room, Alex and his team worked frantically to set the charges. Sweat dripped from their brows as they connected wires and adjusted timers. Time was running out. If they didn't finish soon, reinforcements would arrive, and escape would become impossible. Suddenly a loud crash echoed through the ship. Someone or something had triggered an alarm. Red lights flashed, bathing the corridor in eerie crimson hues. Guards rushed past, shouting orders and scanning every corner for intruders. "We need to move," Alex hissed, finishing the last connection. Now the team bolted toward the exit, narrowly avoiding detection. Behind them, explosions rocked the dreadnought, sending shockwaves rippling through its structure. Fire erupted from damaged systems, engulfing entire sections in flames. The team sprinted toward the rendezvous point. Where the shuttle awaited, Ethan and Lily arrived moments later, breathless but alive. "Did you get it?" Ethan asked urgently. Alex nodded grimly. "Engines are down. Communication relays too. Let's get out of here." The shuttle detached from the dreadnought and soared into space, leaving behind a scene of devastation. From a safe distance, the team watched as the once mighty warship drifted helplessly, its crew scrambling to regain control. Cheers erupted among the group, though exhaustion weighed heavily on all of them. Back on Earth, Claire exhaled sharply. When confirmation of the team's success came through, tears welled in her eyes, not just from relief, but from pride. Humanity had struck another blow against the Empire, proving that even the mightiest enemies could falter. News of the attack spread quickly. Social media lit up with reports of the dreadnought's crippling, sparking hope among those who had doubted humanity's chances. For the first time in weeks, people dared to believe that victory was possible, but Ethan knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The Empire wouldn't take this defeat lightly. They would retaliate, and hard. As he gazed up at the stars, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The road ahead would be long and perilous, but together they would face whatever came next. And, somewhere deep within the Empire's ranks, leaders watched footage of their crippled dreadnought with mounting fury. Earth had proven itself unpredictably and dangerous. Retaliation was inevitable, but so was determination. Humanity had awakened, and nothing could silence it again. The Empire's fury was unmatched. Retaliation came swiftly, and it was brutal. Entire cities were bombed into rubble, their streets reduced to ash and twisted metal. Refugees fled in droves, carrying whatever belongings they could salvage, their faces etched with fear and exhaustion. The Empire's message was loud and clear. Defiance would not go unpunished. Yet, even as the skies darkened with smoke and the ground trembled under the force of explosions, something unexpected happened. People began to fight back, not just with weapons, but with courage. They refused to be silenced. Ethan and Claire found themselves at the heart of this resistance. Though separated by circumstances, they worked tirelessly, each contributing in their own way. Ethan traveled across the globe, training new recruits in the art of stealth and strategy he had learned from Hiroshi. He taught them how to move unseen, strike decisively, and think 3 steps ahead of their enemies. His gadgets became tools of empowerment, giving ordinary people the means to stand against overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, Claire coordinated efforts from the command center, ensuring that supplies, intelligence, and reinforcements reached those who needed them most. Her calm demeanor and quick thinking kept morale high, even in the darkest moments. Hiroshi watched all of this unfold with a mixture of pride and concern. Pride because humanity had embraced the lessons of his ancestors, proving that strength lay not in numbers or firepower, but in unity and ingenuity. Concern because the Empire still held an advantage. One wrong move, and everything they had built could crumble. But he knew better than to dwell on fear. Fear paralyzed. Action saved lives. "We've shown them we're not afraid," Hiroshi said during a meeting with Ethan, Maya, and other leaders. "Now we need to show them we're relentless." The next phase of their plan involved hitting the Empire where it hurt most: supply lines. Using intelligence gathered from previous missions, the Shadow identified key routes used to transport resources between Imperial outposts. Disrupting these would weaken the Empire's ability to sustain prolonged campaigns on Earth. It was risky. Each mission required precise timing and flawless execution, but necessary. Lily volunteered for one such operation, determined to honor her brother's memory. Alongside Alex and a small team, she boarded a cloaked vessel destined for a convoy of cargo ships traveling through Earth's orbit. Their objective was simple: disable the ships without causing unnecessary casualties. Ethan's electromagnetic pulse devices played a crucial role, allowing them to neutralize systems without harming the crew. As the team approached the convoy, tension filled the air. Every step carried the weight of uncertainty. Would the plan work? Could they pull it off without being detected? These questions lingered in everyone's minds, but no one voiced them aloud. Instead, they focused on the task ahead, trusting in their training and each other. When they reached the first ship, Lily led the way, her movements fluid and silent. She disabled security cameras and set charges near vital systems while Alex monitored communications to ensure they remained undetected. The rest of the team spread out, covering different sections of the convoy. Working together, they moved like shadows, striking quickly and retreating before anyone realized what had happened. By the time alarms sounded, it was too late. Explosions rippled through the convoy, crippling several ships and scattering debris. Across space, the team escaped unharmed, slipping away into the void before reinforcements could arrive. Back on Earth, news of the operation spread rapidly, inspiring others to take up arms. What started as a small rebellion had grown into a global movement, united by a shared purpose: freedom. But victories came at a cost. During another mission, Ryan, the wiry young man who had been injured during the depot raid, sacrificed himself to save his teammates. Cornered by Imperial forces, he stayed behind to hold them off, buying enough time for the others to escape. His death weighed heavily on everyone, especially Maria, who had risked her life to carry him to safety during their earlier mission. Yet even in grief, they pressed on, knowing that Ryan's bravery had given them a chance to continue fighting as weeks turned into months. The Empire's grip on Earth began to loosen. Supply shortages forced them to scale back operations, while mounting losses sowed doubt among their ranks. For the first time, cracks appeared in their facade of invincibility. Leaders argued over strategy, questioning whether Earth was worth the effort. Some suggested abandoning the planet altogether, focusing instead on more compliant territories. Others insisted on doubling down, vowing to crush humanity once and for all. Amidst this turmoil, Ethan stood atop a hill, overlooking what remained of his hometown. Buildings lay in ruins, streets deserted, yet signs of resilience persisted. Yet graffiti adorned walls, declaring messages of hope and defiance. Gardens bloomed amidst the wreckage, tended by survivors determined to rebuild. Ethan felt a surge of pride and responsibility. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing against tyranny. But the fight was far from over. Claire joined him later that evening, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders as she gazed at the stars. "Do you think we'll ever see peace again?" she asked softly. Ethan hesitated before answering. "I don't know, but I do know this. We've changed something. Shown the Empire and ourselves that we're not powerless. That matters." She nodded, leaning into him. "And as long as we keep fighting, there's hope." In Japan, Hiroshi prepared his clan for what lay ahead. Though proud of their achievements, he reminded them that vigilance was key. "This war isn't won yet," he told his students. "But every battle brings us closer to victory. Stay sharp, stay strong." Maya, too, remained steadfast, working tirelessly to expand the Shadow's reach. She forged alliances with rebel groups across the galaxy, spreading the story of Earth's resistance. Word of their success inspired others to rise up, igniting sparks of rebellion in even the most unlikely places. And so, the struggle continued. Battles were fought, lives were lost, and sacrifices were made. But through it all, humanity endured. The Empire had underestimated Earth, dismissing its people as weak and insignificant. Now they faced an enemy unlike any they had encountered before, one driven not by greed or ambition, but by the desire to protect what mattered most. One night, as Ethan sat beneath the stars, he reflected on how far they had come. From a single broadcast meant to instill fear, they had sparked a revolution. Ordinary men and women had risen to become warriors, strategists, and heroes. Together, they had defied the impossible. For the first time in years, Ethan allowed himself to dream of a future where Earth was free, a future where humanity stood tall, unafraid to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The road would be long and the cost high, but he believed it was worth it, because deep down, he knew one truth. As long as people refused to give up, hope would never die. Stone hope, no matter how fragile, was the strongest weapon of all.